Good morning, this is Dimitri Lascaris coming to you from Kalamata, Greece, on the southern coast of Peloponnesos on February 28, 2025. I'm here today in the central square of Kalamata, which is jam-packed with people from the town itself and from surrounding communities, the collective population of which is about 70,000 people. Although it's very hard for me to give you an accurate number of the number of people who are here today, I would estimate that it is well in excess of 10,000, and it may be in excess of 20,000. So relative to the population of the area, this is a truly gigantic protest. The protest was called by the victims, or the families of victims, of the worst train accident in Greek history, which happened 2 years ago on February 28, 2023, outside a village called Tempi, which is about 400 kilometers north of Athens. The accident occurred when a passenger train was allowed to transfer onto a track on which there was an oncoming freight train. That obviously should never have happened. The freight train was carrying flammable substances. I'll come back to that in a moment. And in the resulting horrific collision, at least 57 people were killed. Now, some of those people initially survived the collision itself, but they died in a resulting fire, a huge fire, the precise origin of which remains hotly debated today. There are indications and widespread suspicion that the passenger train was carrying illegally a highly flammable hydrocarbon, and after the fact, someone ordered the surface of the area where the fire had erupted to be covered with soil. This, of course, has deepened suspicions that there's a cover-up of illegal cargo on that transport, that freight train, and this would be consistent. That kind of illegality would be consistent with a fairly significant level of corruption and regulatory mismanagement in the country that has endured for some time. So, as I mentioned, the families of the victims of this terrible train collision called not only for strikes across the country, and they are occurring as we speak, but also for a general strike. Just walking around the center of Kalamata, I have not seen a single store opened this Friday afternoon, so it seems as though the merchants in the area are all, or essentially all, honoring the call for a general strike. I think it's also fair to say that what we are witnessing here today, and probably in other cities around the country, is a level of unity amongst the population that is unusual. There are people here from the right, the left, the center, people who are independent politically. This has united the country in anger. This is by no means the first major protest relating to the Tempe collision. There have been numerous ones, and the momentum doesn't seem to have died down at all, the momentum behind these protests. And if there's anything, I think, that scares the political elite more than a unified and angry population, I myself do not know what that is. And in fact, one of the main demands of the families of the victims and their many supporters around the country is that the politicians themselves be held accountable. So far, criminal charges have been brought only against employees and officials of the rail company, but not a single politician has been or is being sought to be held accountable through the criminal justice system. Now, yesterday, the government issued a 180-page report on the eve of this massive countrywide set of protests and general strike, which purported to identify the causes of the accident. And they were said to be a deteriorating, outdated infrastructure, the lack of modern safety systems, and poor training of railway company personnel. Why might that have happened in a modern country that is a member of the European Union? Well, I think the short answer is austerity. Greece has been subjected to an unprecedented program of austerity since the financial crisis of 2009-2010. It was certainly the worst austerity program that any European country has ever had to face. It caused very quickly a Depression-era level of economic contraction in the range of 27%. The youth unemployment rate soared to an excess of 50%. There was a massive brain drain. The suicide rates in the country soared. The healthcare system deteriorated, and homelessness also increased dramatically. Greece has never recovered from that austerity program, and it still is in effect in many respects. Although recently there has been a tepid but much ballyhooed economic recovery, the country has not come remotely close to achieving the level of prosperity that it had before the financial crisis of 2009-2010. At the time, the austerity program was accompanied by loans to the Greek state. This was characterized by the European Union's elite as a bailout of Greece, also by the corporate media. But in fact, much of those funds that were lent to Greece were ultimately paid to European banks, principally French and German banks, which were in extremely weak financial condition at the time and had lent large amounts of money to Greek banks and other debtors in Greece. So what was characterized as a bailout of Greece was in fact a bailout of French and German banks, and the Greek people have been paying the price of that bailout ever since. I'm now going to move on to other parts of the protest. I'll share with you some footage from what I see as I try to get to the other end of this square. And as you see the crowd here assembled, bear in mind, as I said, that this is a relatively small town. The population, being no more than 70,000 or so, including their surrounding communities. So for this many people to show up and for the commitment to the general strike to be so widespread, I think that's a strong indicator of the level of anger in the population and the fact that this is a multi-partisan protest.
Ο Δημήτρης Παπαντάς, πρόεδρος του Δημοκρατικού Τμήματος της Αθηνικής Ενίας.
Καλημέρα. Σήμερα είναι μια ιστορική μέρα για τους Έλληνες, για την πόλη μας, για τους εργαζόμενους, για τους πολίτες αυτής της χώρας, όπου και αν βρίσκονται. Σήμερα ήρθαμε εδώ να τιμήσουμε τους νεκρούς και να απαιτήσουμε από την κυβέρνηση, από τη δικαιοσύνη να κάνει το καθήκον της, να τιμωρηθούν οι ένοχοι όσο ψηλά και αν βρίσκονται. Δεν πάει άλλο. Δεν πάει άλλο αυτός ο κατήφορος που συναντάμε τα τελευταία χρόνια σε χώρους εργασίας, στις μεταφορές, παντού. Να φεύγουν άνθρωποι, νέοι, με τόσο άδικο τρόπο.
Γιατί έτσι πρέπει να γίνει και έτσι θα γίνει. Θα φροντίσουμε όλοι εμείς γι' αυτό.
Παρακαλούνται όσοι παίρνουν το λόγο να μην μακρηγορούν. Δίλεπτες ομιλίες και παρεμβάσεις. Το λόγο έχει το Σωματείο Νοσοκομιακών Γιατρών Μεσσηνίας.
Οι νοσοκομιακοί γιατροί της Μεσσηνίας βρίσκονται εδώ. Είμαστε συνεπιβάτες στο τρένο της οργής. Είναι υποχρέωση όλων μας να διεκδικήσουμε ότι όλη η αλήθεια θα αποκαλυφθεί. Οι ένοχοι θα τιμωρηθούν.
Well, that's my report from Kalamata, Greece, for Reason to Resist on February 28, 2025. If you found this video to be informative, please like it. If you're not a subscriber to Reason to Resist, I encourage you to become a subscriber, and thank you for listening today.